Jimmy Spoon and the Pony Express, Chapter 1, Orphans Preferred. Winter sunlight slanted through the broad windows of Spoon's fancy store. Jimmy gazed longingly outside at the wagons rattling along the muddy road and the men on horseback, all going someplace in the crisp, fresh air. He leaned over the glass countertop where his reflection showed his bow tie was crooked again. His sandy brown hair curled above his collar, which was so stiff with starch it scraped his neck miserably. The start of a mustache on his upper lip was the only good thing about this week. What bothered him more than being cooped up in his father's store were the female customers warming themselves around the small iron stove. They were his sister's friends, and they were whispering about him. "When I get married," one of them boldly announced, "I'm going to shop here for my trousseau at Salt Lake City's finest fancy store." Jimmy blushed when he heard the word trousseau, knowing it meant items a bride wears on her honeymoon. He looked helplessly out the window, aware that the girls watched him adoringly. How he ached to be in the fresh air away from the city instead of suffering in this store. He wished that he could be with his Shoshone friends, hunting elk, or walking in the woods with Nahini. Lovely Nahini. Jimmy's eyes fell on a newspaper his father had left on the counter. A headline on the front page made him catch his breath. As he picked it up, his heart began to race with excitement. "Boy, howdy!" he yelled, his voice echoing off the tall ceilings. The girls looked up, surprised. Jimmy was usually so shy around them, he either blushed or stuttered. Never had they heard him holler. Thinking he should explain himself, Jimmy read out loud the news that would surely captivate them. "Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows not over 18. Must be expert riders, willing to risk death daily. Orphans preferred, wages $25 a week." "That's me, all right," he said. "It's for mail delivery from St. Joe all the way to Sacramento in just 10 days. 10 days instead of 6 weeks. This is good news. What am I saying? This is the best news. A job away from home." Jimmy burst out with a giddy laugh and stopped himself when he saw the girls' startled faces. How would he be able to contain himself until the store closed? Another 6 hours away. Lillian Zimmerman's dress rustled as she moved down the aisles toward him. Her shoes clicked daintily on the clean wood floor. She and Jimmy had known each other since childhood. If anyone would understand the reason for his new happiness, it was Lillian. When she put her slender hands on the counter, Jimmy caught a scent of her perfume and was surprised how good it made him feel. He felt his face get warm. "Hello, Lillian." "Hello," she smiled at him shyly, then whispered, "Jimmy, I thought you wanted to be a captain in the army like my father." I did. Maybe I'll do both." "Well, then, you'd better learn to dress properly. Your shirt is inside out again." It was snowing when Jimmy hung the clothes sign in the window. He stepped outside, and with the bell tinkling above against the door, shut and locked it. The mud was frozen now and powdery white. A carriage with a tin lantern swinging by the seat passed quickly beside a trotting mare. Jimmy couldn't wait to find his friends, the Cohn brothers, and Penn Haley. He hurried along the planked sidewalk, his coat pulled above his ears for warmth. As he rounded the corner by the houses where Brigham Young lived with his many wives, children, and hired help, Jimmy heard shouts. 3 boys burst through a gate in the high stone wall that surrounded the estate. "Jimmy! Fellas!" Jimmy swatted them playfully with the desert news. "Can you believe it, Jim? A Pony Express! Know what that means? Folks will be so happy to get their mail in 10 days the riders could end up heroes." Heroes. Now that was something Jimmy hadn't considered, but the idea appealed to him very much. Something bothered him, though. "I'm not an orphan," he said, as if he just realized this. "That's true, Jim, but I am. So's Will here and Nick. We're orphans, sure, but ain't nobody can ride a horse as good as you, Jimmy. Nobody." "Maybe, maybe not. Another thing, Pa needs my help to run the store. Now that I think of it, Mother would never consent." Jimmy looked down. He was remembering how he'd run away from home when he was 12, and for 2 happy years lived with the Shoshone Indians. When he finally returned to his mother, she was so happy to see him she had wept with joy. Jimmy had promised her he would never again run away. Snowflakes hissed as they drifted onto the boy's hair and thin shoulders. Their breath made steam in the cold air. The 10 eastern gables of the Lion House were beginning to glow with candlelight. Downstairs, in the Beehive House, there was a silhouette of someone carrying firewood to the hearth. From one of the kitchens on the estate, the aroma of cooking meat drifted out an open window. Nick and Will, who were hungry and who were not wearing coats, began rubbing their arms for warmth. Their woolen shirts felt thinner by the moment. The cold and delicious smell of supper made the boys look at one another, trying quickly to think of some way to convince Jimmy to change his mind. "Tryouts are tomorrow, Jim," Penn said, knowing how much Jimmy enjoyed showing off. "One of the trail bosses from Russell, Majors and Waddle, is coming in with some wild Mustangs. You gotta come with us, Jimmy. Pay's good. It's the same as we're getting from President Young. But all we do is clean out stables, pigeon coops, and such that puts the boy to sleep. Pony Express riders won't be bored, and they sure won't be slaves, that's my guess." Will began stomping his cold feet and rubbing his arms faster. "Practically the whole town of Salt Lake will be watching," he said. "They're turning Main Street into a rodeo arena. Come noon, snow or no snow. What do you say?" Jimmy's mind raced. Leaving home for a job, now that was different from running away. Surely his mother would understand. He had worked faithfully for his father for almost 3 years, and now he had a younger brother. Little Thomas could be the one to take over the store someday. The idea of again living in the wilderness thrilled Jimmy. He might be able to see some of his Shoshone brothers, or at least he would feel closer to them, knowing their trails were nearby. Also, there would be danger, and Jimmy would be a hero. Who could resist that? He had another thought. The rodeo would be a chance to show Lillian Zimmerman that on a horse he could wear his shirt any way he darned pleased. "Fellas," Jimmy said, giving each shivering boy a hearty handshake, "noon sounds so good to me, I'll be there at 11. And that is the end of Chapter 1.